This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. Attorney General Carl Bethels defending the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, insisting that the Minnis-led administration isn't persecuting political opponents through the judiciary, referring to such claims as, quote, a desperately untrue allegation from the pit of hell.
It is a suggestion that endangers the very administration of justice in this country. I would remind the opposition that when they were last in office, they prosecuted a former FNM senator and an MCM, Meritorious Council member of the FNM. But the FNM never sought to accuse the then government of conducting any witch hunt. Let me remind every Bahamian that because of the commitment to fair and impartial justice by this government, the Bahamas now has a constitutionally independent and impartial Director of Public Prosecutions.
You see, after the Minnis administration took office in 2017, 3 former Progressive Liberal Party parliamentarians were arrested and charged. Frank Smith, who's the former senator and chairman of the Public Hospitals Authority, and former cabinet minister Shane Gibson were both cleared of bribery charges back in 2019. The bribery case against Kenred Dorset, a former cabinet minister, however, is still pending. The Attorney General also notes that a former Free National Movement cabinet minister was also charged during this term and is preparing to go to trial.
Yes, even as I speak today. And that is a circumstance that hurts my heart and every fiber of my being. But the law is the law. And there is no justifiable legal basis on which I could exercise any constitutional override. But this is what an independent public prosecutor does. He will bite both ways, always in the defense of justice and in upholding the rule of law.
In fact, he says the opposition seeking to scandalize the authority of the constitutionally independent Director of Public Prosecutions, and it is a shameful attack for the administration of justice. Mr. Bethels also calling upon the opposition to stop making politics out of the administration of justice.
Please, there is no witch hunt against anybody. The police investigate, they report to the Director of Prosecutions. He determines whether the results of the investigation are sufficient to warrant a charge, and then it is the job of the trier of fact to decide on the facts whether the charge is made out. That's how the system works. There is no witch hunt, and never was any witch hunt.
Bethel also noted yesterday that a former FNM senator was prosecuted when the PLP was in office. While the economy has begun to significantly improve and many persons have returned to work, there are some Bahamians that are still challenged by the pandemic, and that's according to Labor Minister Senator Dion Folks, who during his budget communication in the Senate on Thursday assured Bahamians that the government has heard and continues to hear their cries, and says they intend to continue to bring social and economic relief to all Bahamians through the 2021-2022 fiscal year plan. That said, the minister said that the government's plans to develop the government employment incentive program that would give employers VAT tax breaks while simultaneously creating 2,500 new employment opportunities that will bring hope and new economic opportunities to many Bahamian families.
Some 15,000 jobs, this is prior to the pandemic, were created in the last 2 years alone, while unemployment dropped to a 10-year low. The 52-week job program, which has helped and trained and employed 1,000 participants, has been renewed. Labor on the Blocks, a program implemented by our ministry, has delivered over 1,500 new jobs.
According to the minister, some 8,000 jobs were created recently or will come on stream shortly.
We incentivized and worked with the private sector and the business community to encourage them to retain their existing employee numbers and, where possible, create new jobs. The new expansion at Bahama has created 500 construction jobs and 700 permanent jobs. Nassau Cruise Ports has created 500 construction jobs and hundreds of permanent jobs upon completion. The newly expanded and renovated Sandals Hotel has employed hundreds of Bahamians in its construction stage and will employ 1,000 Bahamians on a permanent basis when they reopen.
According to the minister, Aquilina Condo Project 9, adjacent to 1 Cable Beach, will provide 300 construction jobs. The Point Hotel, which will open in 2 weeks, will engage 400 permanent employees and will be 98% Bahamian. Minister Folks reaffirmed that the government and his ministry is committed to ensuring the full protection of all workers in the country. At the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, the government declared a state of emergency, implementing curfews and subsequent lockdowns. This move forced furloughs and reduced hours for many businesses. The government in turn provided unemployment benefits to eligible persons who found themselves unemployed during the pandemic. Some $284 million was distributed to more than 86,000 Bahamians. Some $36 million was provided for the food assistance program. A group of Cuban nationals are currently being detained at the Carmichael Road Detention Center after they were apprehended in the Southwest Bahamas by a U.S. Coast Guard vessel earlier this week. The 15 individuals were captured after being sighted on Anguilla Key on Tuesday, June 22nd. They were taken aboard the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Charles Sexton and handed over shortly after 7 p.m. to the Defense Force patrol craft HMBS Durward Knowles. The Cubans were subsequently brought into the capital early Thursday morning, where they were handed over to the relevant authorities. The Cuban embassy has since been notified. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force continues to maintain a vigilant presence while patrolling and protecting the territorial waters of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and working with other law enforcement agencies. And U.S. Charge d'Affaires to the Bahamas, Usha Pitts, taking issue with a letter written to one of the local dailies that seemed to have shed a negative light on the relationship between the Bahamas and the United States. This past Tuesday, she sought to set the record straight on the U.S.-Bahamas relations.
I was a little bit upset. I think it was yesterday or earlier this week, I read an opinion piece in the newspaper where somebody was arguing that the Bahamas should withdraw from a lot of regional partnerships because they weren't getting anything out of them. So they should withdraw from CARICOM and dump the United States because all the United States does is bring them politics, gets the Bahamas involved in politics. And I thought, well, you know, what a terrible misunderstanding of the U.S.-Bahamian relationship. How could this person have reached that conclusion if that person was in the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian and saw the Coast Guard helicopters come in? Or, you know, where was that person when the U.S. military provided the first humanitarian relief? And so the cooperation is not new, and the relationship is much more than politics.
Ambassador Pitts reminding that the USA and the Bahamas has shared a history and shared values, and both countries enjoy the fruits of democracy. She also adds that the USA and the Bahamas has shared borders and shared security that benefits both nations, and the partnership between it is unique.
I just wanted to mention that we do have a shared border, we have shared security, so this is just the latest in a partnership, but it's a long partnership, and all of this cooperation is mutual. When the Bahamas is looking at controlling unregulated fishing, stopping poachers, disrupting irregular migration, stopping trafficking. All of these issues that are your issues are, of course, also our issues. And I have never been to a country where two militaries cooperated so closely and had such a good relationship, and an understanding that your security is our security and vice versa.
On Tuesday past, the United States government officially handed over to the government of the Bahamas via the Royal Bahamas Defense Force nearly $6 million worth of military equipment to aid in the fight against human, gun, and drug smuggling. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.